Okay, good morning and welcome to Entomo's latest presentation in its Best Practices in Channel Management webinar series. Today's presentation is on how to maximize revenues with special pricing and opportunity management. My name is Mark Bowman and I'll be your MC today. I'm happy to have Bob Hara, Program Manager of Sales Operations at TriQuint Semiconductor, and Sanjoy Chatterjee, founder of Entomo, as our presenters today. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, while we're waiting for the webinar room to fill up, let's do a quick poll. So please indicate your company's top channel management challenge by selecting one of the choices listed here. Okay, we'll leave the poll up just for a minute, give everyone a chance to participate. And we'll be sharing the results of the poll just prior to our Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Okay, looks like we have our attendees. So let's go ahead and get started. As a reminder, you can submit questions at any time during the webinar using the question box on your screen. And we'll compile those questions and answer them at the end of the session. As mentioned earlier, our presenters this morning are Bob Hara and Sanjoy Chatterjee. Bob is Program Manager of Sales Operations at TriQuint Semiconductor. He has 30 years of experience in the high-tech industry, having held sales and marketing executive positions with National Semiconductor, NCR Micro, Adaptec, and Hyphen. And most recently, he's led the complete revamp of TriQuint sales operations systems. Sanjoy Chatterjee is Entomo's founder with over 25 years of experience in the high-tech industry, primarily delivering solutions for channel sales and marketing organizations. So let's review the agenda. Thanks. Bob is going to talk about TriQuint's pre-Entomo environment and challenges, how they went about selecting a solution, the results they are seeing today, and lessons learned. Then we'll have Sanjoy introduce Entomo and talk about the channel management challenges we typically see in working with our customers. He'll then review some best practice recommendations. We'll then cover the poll results, followed by a question and answers discussion. And I'll now hand the presentation over to Bob Hara. Bob?
Thank you, Mark. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your attendance. TriQuint Semiconductor is a global semiconductor company. We are based in Hillsboro, Oregon, with manufacturing and foundries in Oregon, Texas, Florida, Costa Rica, with a little over 1 million square feet, and we employ about 3,000 employees. We are a leader in the high-performance RF and microwave components for wireless communications. Our technologies are typically gallium-based, and we focus on the mobile devices market, network systems supporting RF and microwave, defense and aerospace, and we also provide foundry services. Our sales model is direct customers with sales and account managers, supported by a fairly large manufacturers representatives group. And indirect, we use global distribution, also supported by the sales and manufacturers representatives. Next. Our pre-Entomo environment, our ERP is SAP, and we had numerous legacy systems and many ad hoc manual processes focused around opportunity management, forecasting, and design registrations. We quickly discovered that our existing tools lacked scalability, flexibility, which drives a very high cost to modify and customize to support our specific needs. And one of the largest problems we faced was we had no automated workflow or approval processes. Also, the data reliability was a problem in terms of point of sale, inventory reporting, normalization, data management, and also lack of global channel visibility, because most of our work was done in what I call Excel hell. and nobody outside of us here at headquarters had visibility into the data that we were collecting. Special pricing for ship and debit management was totally manual with a lot of human intervention, and it made it very difficult to align our business processes across sales operations, sales organization, marketing, finance, because all of these groups have their own specific interests in the data and the processes. Also, in terms of reimbursing our distributors for the ship and debits or credits for their accounts payable was very slow and painful, with many corrections having to be made after the fact. Our opportunity tracking for design registrations, we did collect data, but we didn't leverage it in terms of tying it to wins, and it was a very weak process in terms of driving our business. Commission splits management was a total manual system based on an access database, and no transparency across our organization or with the manufacturer's representatives, with an extremely heavily manual intervention and many changes and updates after the fact, many of which we had to correct every month because the initial access database was not modified and corrected. It was also difficult to measure our partner performance for QBRs. A lot of it was very weak, some of it non-existent, and what we did do was very manual process. Next. So in late 2010, we decided that we were going to look for new vendors and new systems. We scoured the market for numerous people's lists of who the potential vendors for CRM and channel CRM, and we made early distinctions and decisions that we really had to separate the two. One of the key issues that most organizations run into is talking about whether they do something on-premise versus SaaS or in the cloud. We believe SaaS was mandatory just from an ease of use standpoint of our partners, and also not having to rely on the IT organization and that argument of them not wanting to support additional applications in the IT group. And we didn't want too many different point solutions. So we looked at all the big players in the marketplace. Most had direct CRM, but we didn't find anybody that had a real credible channel CRM in addition to being able to handle the direct CRM. So in October of 2010, we sent an RFQ to 6 companies, 4 of them with direct CRM, 2 of them in channel CRM, and our go-live strategy was June, July of 2011, which was a very aggressive schedule in terms of choosing a vendor and rolling out and going live in a 6 to 7 month time frame. Next. We selected Entomo and Salesforce.com. For direct, Salesforce.com, based on their reputation, everybody believed that they had a very strong UI. They were SaaS, mature customer, large user, focused applications, and they also have many application partners, which gave us a lot of flexibility if we wanted to add additional functionality moving forward. For channel, we chose Entomo. The business stakeholders really believed that this was the best-of-breed solution provider, and it gave us about 95% of our needs out of the box. Good ease of use, intuitive UI, strong reputation, and extremely strong references for high integrity and competence, market knowledge, and great support. And very strong dedicated implementation and post-implementation support team, which has been validated with numerous updates that we have done in terms of phasing additional capability and or modifications based on user input with great success. IT stakeholders were pleased. We had a SaaS app that was robust with a scalable platform, ease of integration with existing business solutions, and we are integrated with SAP with several direct feeds from SAP to Entomo on a daily and monthly basis. Next. So our initial results and benefits. From a global perspective, we have great real-time channel visibility and transparency with all of our user partners. Key here is one system of truth for our data for all of our partners and manufacturing reps. Data is timely and reliable and transparent, and we've eliminated a large amount of human errors and moving us out of the Excel hell mode that was so prevalent in the past. Our partners are happier. They're helping us push our products more aggressively. We've cut our approval cycle for DRs and ship and debits from weeks to days. We've shortened our time to pay the distributors and initialize their credits by 70% time window. And we've quickened our payment of rep commissions. And as everybody knows, reps get paid commission only, so their commission checks are very important to them. They also have full transparency of what the check is going to be before we cut the check. So they can go in and they can analyze all the transactions that make up that commission check, and if there are issues, it gives us all the opportunity to make corrections or updates prior to issuing a check and alleviating going back and making corrections and updates after the fact. In terms of our revenue management, we have a much better ability today to forecast our channel revenues. And since we recognize sale at point of purchase to our distributors, financially we have to take reserves against those in our financial data, and we have a much tighter ability to forecast those reserves accurately. In terms of commissions, we also gained the capability of taking our forecast data over the next 12 or 18 months and feeding it through the commissions algorithm that calculates their current commissions based on billings, but we can now look ahead into the future based on that forecast and look at what our commission estimates would be moving forward based on the forecast. And this helps us in terms of our revenue management and our cost structure. Next. What would we have done differently? We probably would not have been as aggressive in the time frame of 3 applications all at the same time in that short window. We would have definitely gotten our business process owners in sales and marketing on board a little sooner and gotten them into using the application a little earlier, although with that aggressive time frame, we didn't have that luxury. We definitely would have rolled out in a staged manner, doing the channel CRM followed by the direct CRM, and we would have done it probably on a regional basis. We went live with 3 major new applications on a global basis, turned it on one day, and that was the tool of choice, and everybody started using the new tools. We also probably would have trained by region, and especially taking into account cultural differences and English not the first language. We did all of our training via web and live meeting, so it made it a little bit difficult in some of those arenas. The scheduling was also very difficult, and we did no face-to-face, and I think that would have helped us significantly. Next. So what's next? Now that we have inventory solid data in Entomo doing inventory reconciliation, we want to take that another step and manage that channel inventory better, manage our price change management when we have pricing changes for disti cost and special pricing, and also in terms of our production planning and forecasting for that channel business. Secondly, leveraging the aggregated data for design registrations. How can we tighten that process? We have the distributors today that have to go in and touch a design registration periodically to keep it live, which helps us in terms of knowing that that really is a real opportunity that we want them to focus on and give them better support when required. Disti stock checks. And then also one of the additional things we are getting ready to turn on is available to promise for TriQuint inventory, so that the system will provide us all the data in one place for disti stock checks and for direct stock checks. Entomo has a scorecard module out of the box, which will help us streamline our QBRs. Again, supporting the one system of truth and transparency. The distributors have the ability to go in and look at their scorecard and see how they are performing against our criteria and the other distributors. That all nets out better managing and growing our distribution business. We would also like to add managing RMAs and stock rotation, since we do have the inventory data, and then also migrating the Salesforce.com users to Entomo and back from Entomo to Salesforce to have a composite application. And we will continue to expand and evolve as issues come up and as people make suggestions to us about other things that they would like to see us do within the system. So thank you very much, and I will now turn it back over to Mark.
Okay, great. Thanks, Bob. All right, before we continue, let's do another quick poll. You get that up. There we go. This one has to do with how you manage special pricing and channel opportunities. We'll leave the poll up for about a minute or so, give you a moment or two to select an answer. Coming in, looking good. Thanks for entering all that. Okay, let's close the poll. And again, we'll start the Q&A session with the poll results and review those for you. Okay, we'll now turn the presentation over to Sanjoy Chatterjee, founder of Entomo. Sanjoy?
Hey, thanks, Mark. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. Like Mark said, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of our company and our solution and conclude with a few best practice recommendations. Entomo has been in business for over 12 years, and from day one, we've been a cloud solution. It has variously been called a hosted solution, an on-demand solution, a software as a service or SaaS solution, but we've always been a in the cloud solution. So that's actually an important point. This is not something we thought of after the fact. It was something we were born with. We built a purpose-built application which was focused at integrating all the channel operations, whether it be folks from sales or finance or marketing, compliance, whoever it is that was involved with the channel has one place to come and see what's going on. And from a vertical perspective, we are focused on companies who sell through channels, whether they be distributors, resellers, retailers, value-added resellers, whatever you call them, but as long as you're selling through the channel, that's our focus. And from an industry perspective, we're focused obviously on the technology sector with semiconductors and computers and telecom, etc., but also consumer electronics and the CPG market. And as you can see, we have processed over $35 billion in channel revenues during our history. Now, this slide should not be a surprise to most of you here. I mean, this is exactly the kinds of things that we hear from our customers and other people that we talk to on a day-in, day-out basis, the kinds of problems they run into when they don't have good channel visibility, for instance. Bob earlier this morning referred to some of those issues, but they can be stockouts, they can be lost sales, they can be writing off inventory because you didn't know some inventory had built up somewhere. Similarly, when it comes to paying channel incentives, whether it be rep commissions or ship and debit credits or any of those kinds of credits, overpayment is actually a big problem. And most people don't have the ability, because they lack some automated tools, to be able to validate every single request or every single claim that comes in. And as a result, you can lose 5, 10, 15% margin quite easily. And obviously there's the late payments, which is a demotivator for all kinds of reps, whether they're inside reps or outside reps. And finally, gray market activity where we see people who have bought, a distributor may have bought for, say, the educational market at a discounted price, but then they go and resell it at, at the regular commercial market at a higher price and pocket the margin. Or they're selling to other partners, which may or may not be legal for your contract requirements. So these are some of the typical problems that we run across, and obviously our goal here is to fix those. See my screen again. So if you take the covers off the Entomo application, what you will see are the following processing steps or processing pipeline modules, as we call them. So the first one is data normalization. So the data, whether it comes in Excel or EDI or through an FTP site, in whatever format it comes in, we can automatically normalize that and do things like match end customer names, validate part numbers, convert currencies, match serial numbers. All of those things can be automated through our system. The second thing is valuation of the transactions. Valuing the transactions can be tricky sometimes because you may or may not trust what the partner is reporting. And so we have the ability to do valuation in a variety of different ways. It could be based on what price or cost the distributor has reported, or it could be based on a price book, or it could be based on a FIFO of invoices. There are many different ways that we can value the transactions and the inventory in the channel. Which then leads to what Bob was referring to earlier, the sales in, sales out reconciliation, where on a part number by part number basis, for every distributor, we will actually tell you whether or not what they are reporting as the ending inventory is what they should have. Since if they report that they have 300, that they sold 300 units to a particular end customer, we can answer the question of whether they actually should have had 300 units in the first place. And then there's the whole area of channel incentives, which Bob was talking about. So Bob talked about special pricing and ship and debit. He talked a little bit about price protection, but we also support a whole host of other channel incentive types, which include rebates or SPIFs or MDF and co-ops, things of that sort. And we can not only do all the back-end validation of the claims when they come in or automatically calculate the credits, but also, like Bob alluded, we can do the upfront workflow and approval to ensure that when a request is made, it's automatically routed to the right people and approvals are done in an efficient manner. And that in turn leads to the next set of modules, which include business analytics, sales credits, allowing you to do sales commission calculations, commission splits, and all of this is net of any of the back-end rebates or credits that you're providing, as well as sell-through revenue recognition, which allows you to recognize revenue actually upon sell-through from your distributor or your retailer, whatever the case may be, as opposed to recognizing revenue upfront and then potentially having to back that out. And then we can support multiple methods of journal entries in that process. And finally, the partner scorecard, which collects information from all of these other modules and allows you to do a balanced scorecard to put it all together. Just some examples of what the user experience is like in our system. Here's an example of a dashboard that a channel manager at your company might want to look at. So in one place, they can see inventory, they can see sales, they can see what are the top verticals where sales are being made, how many weeks of inventory there is, who are the people who are accruing the most in various kinds of incentive payments. So all of that is in one place, and then you can obviously drill down and go look at the details, including the underlying transactions and the underlying calculations that were done to come up with these numbers. But it's not just you on your side who can see this. The partners or your distributors or resellers, they can also see their piece. Obviously, they can only see, the thing that they're allowed to see, but they can see the same set of transactions that were used to calculate commissions for them, or that were used to calculate rebates for them, etc. So this is what Bob was referring to, where you have one system of truth and both sides are looking at the same thing. And so if there's any question about why was this transaction not included, or how come that inventory was not included, you can both figure it out from exactly the same place. So I'll end with a few best practice recommendations. I think we've said this a few times. Really, the best practice is to have a single system of truth for all of channel management. There are potentially other ways to do a single system of truth, like using an in-house business intelligence system or a business warehouse, but those systems do not give you the ability to do collaboration with your partners, as well as some of the channel-specific algorithms that we run are not easy to replicate in a typical business warehouse without doing a lot of custom work. And so it's really key, we think, to avoid the information silos that exist in a lot of situations, and have everything in one system and one online system, both from a collaboration perspective as well as a historical record perspective. To do this, obviously, you've got to get several internal organizations aligned. It could be sales, marketing, finance, but I think once you get the folks aligned, obviously IT as well. Once you get the folks aligned, I think you'll find that there is a meeting of the minds, and it's very easy to move forward and get everybody on the same page. Spreadsheets. I think one of the best things in the world, are spreadsheets, but they're also one of the worst things in the world. I think we all love our spreadsheets. We all love the ability to be able to quickly do calculations or quickly do an analysis. However, when you're talking about a larger organization where multiple people need to analyze and view and digest the same information, spreadsheets are probably the worst thing you can use. So we really, really strongly recommend that you get away from spreadsheets as soon as you can. Now, I think Bob mentioned this. Our system also has the ability that you can extract data and do a quick spreadsheet analysis for a specific thing that you want to, but the system of record and the source information is still centralized in one place. The other temptation that some folks get into is they have a lot of people doing this internally, manually, and the notion they come up with is, okay, let me just outsource this to a third party who will just do it manually. But we think that's really not the right way to do it, because you're just moving a problem. It's like a shell game. You're moving the problem from an internal set of people to an external set of people. And in fact, sometimes you lose a lot of control by just handing it off to an external set of people to do it manually. So we really think it's important that you do this based on an automated system as opposed to just trying to outsource it to someone else to do it manually. And in summation, I think for a long time in the channel world, there was not a solution available to pull all this stuff together. So there was a lot of inertia. A lot of people were trying to build their own systems or do custom applications on an existing ERP or an existing CRM system. But I think all those kinds of reasons are now gone. There is a state-of-the-art application available that allows you to pull everything together, and we strongly urge you to give us a call and take a look and see what we can do to help you. And like we mentioned earlier, it is a software as a service or cloud application, so the rollout and implementation is very, very quick. And so with that, I'll hand this over to Mark.
All right, thanks, Andre. So let's pull up the results of the polls. Here's the first one then. Okay, your company's top channel management challenges. So looks good. Sanjoy, you have any comments on the results?
Yeah, this is interesting because it's actually very, very typical where the two things or the three things that have the biggest votes here, the POS and inventory management, channel analytics and dashboards, and opportunity management, this is very, very much in line with what we hear and see every day. So obviously, if you don't have your POS and inventory, the basic stuff under control, the rest of it is very difficult. But we definitely come across people who have got the POS and inventory stuff under control, but then they're struggling with the rest of the things. So this is very much in line with what we see and hear every day.
Great. All right. Thanks, Sanjoy. So now let's take a look at the special pricing and channel opportunities poll question. Sanjoy, if you could comment on that.
Oh, interesting again. I'm actually...
It looks like it's back to Bob's Excel Hill.
Yeah, there's definitely Excel Hill, but I'm actually surprised that there are not more people who have tried to build their own system, because we do encounter that. So I'm glad there is some number of people who have already built channel portals, because that's, or unless they're our existing customers, but I don't know that. So that's good, I think, but almost 50%, as you can see, is still paper-based, and that's exactly one of the issues that TriQuint was having, and that they solved through our system.
All right, thanks, Sanjoy. So let's move on to the Q&A. So if you haven't already, go ahead and submit your questions via the question box on the screen. And we also encourage you to email any additional questions or comments to the email on your screen, or feel free to give us a call. So now we'll move on and take a couple of your questions. So let's start with the first one. And Bob, this one looks like it's for you. So why did you choose not to use Salesforce.com's opportunity management solution?
Well, thanks, Mark. Well, the answer there is kind of twofold. We do use the opportunity management in Salesforce for our direct opportunities, but a couple of things. Number one, they did not have an out-of-the-box solution to handle the channel opportunities and design registrations, so we would have had to customize that. And additionally, we wanted to keep all of the channel activities in one application. And kind of thirdly, adding additional, we've got about 200 users in the Entomo system today, and adding that number of headcount to our Salesforce.com licenses would have been extremely expensive just to handle design opportunities and design registrations in Salesforce.
All right, thanks, Bob. See, the next one looks like it's for you as well. So you mentioned you have implemented partner performance scorecards with Entomo. What kind of metrics are you tracking?
Yeah, we just turned this on about a month ago. There's several standard performance indicators we track. For instance, sales performance, inventory performance, which is a measure of turns, quality of reported POS, which everybody has, I think, the same problem in terms of the integrity of the data and the quality of the data. And then partner responsiveness, and then an additional key thing is that in sales operations, our customer service people for distribution and our sales operations person for distribution also has an objective rating that they can give each one of our distributors. And then we also have some proprietary metrics. But then the key thing is, I think as I mentioned earlier, throughout the month, throughout the quarter, the distributors can look at their scorecard before the QBR. They will know on an ongoing basis how they are being rated both on the objective and subjective metrics. So we're really excited to get that module turned on and enhance our quarterly business reviews with our distribution partners.
All right, thanks, Bob. Let's see, next question, again for Bob. So how do you access your channel data?
Well, since Entomo is a SaaS app, we access it via a web portal where we've got customized dashboards, as Sanjoy pointed out earlier. The ability to run reports on a demand basis, query, sort, filter, and then extract the data into Excel if we wanted to do any additional analysis, or somebody comes up with a question in terms of it's not an everyday question to try to drill down to, say, one particular product across all distribution to a specific segment of the market. They can always download the data and pivot for analysis. But we have predefined reports for all of our groups, and we also have some data and reports that are scheduled to be exported to our internal systems on periodic basis.
Okay, great. Thanks, Bob. Let's see, you're on a roll here. So here's the next one. How do you restrict access to confidential data? So for instance, I don't want one partner to see another's data.
Well, the Entomo system has the security set up such that our rep companies, for example, see only their data. For example, in commissions, they see only the commission dollars and transactions that make up their commissions. Although in terms of a split, they can see both sides of the split. So if there's a rep company in Boston and he's splitting a commission with a rep company on the West Coast, he will see both sides of that transaction. And again, with our distributors, when the distributors enter the system, they see only their data based on the security that we've set up within Entomo. So it's not been a problem at all setting up all of the security and authorizing them by roles and individual privileges.
And I'll repeat that. Not sure everyone heard it. So Sanjoy, this question's for you. Can we use the system even if we don't want partners to have to log into the system and we want to use our own internal BI system for analytics?
Yes, absolutely. So in fact, we coexist with many internal systems. I'll give you a few examples. For instance, partners can email POS and inventory claims to a dedicated email address, so there's no reason for them to have to log in to another portal or remember another password or anything like that. And after the data is automatically processed and validated and analyzed, like Bob mentioned, we can push the data on a periodic scheduled basis to external systems. And this could be, an Oracle system, an SAP system, a Siebel or Salesforce system, any of those kinds of systems. And so none of the internal users have to log into our system either. They can just go and do their analytics in the BI system based on the data that we have processed and validated. And then alternatively, we also have the ability to do a single sign-on with existing systems. So for instance, if you have a Salesforce system or some other kind of portal that you're using for your CRM, we can provide single sign-on application so that the users get a seamless user experience.
All right. Thanks, Sanjoy, for that. Let's see. Looks like we're down to the last two questions. So this one's for you as well. You've talked about special pricing and design registrations. Does the system also allow us to manage MDF and co-op programs?
Yes. In addition to special pricing and design registration, we can manage pretty much any kind of channel incentive program that you can think of. Co-op programs, MDF programs, spiff programs, volume rebate kind of programs, or programs that are used to see how a partner is doing from a training or certification perspective. And what's interesting is, and this is one of the things we've done with several of our customers, is they use the scorecard as another way to measure how the partner is doing, and then based on the results of the scorecard, they actually tie that into another kind of incentive. So it's sort of like a snake eating its tail. We use our own scorecard as another way to do another kind of incentive, potentially an extra half a point discount if they are above 9 on a 10 a scorecard with a rating of 10 at the top. So there are many other ways that we can use the channel incentive module that we have. Price protection was another one I think that we haven't talked about yet.
Okay, let's see. So this is going to be our last question. But as I mentioned before, we're happy to answer more questions offline, either by email or phone. So we have some great additional questions here that we're not going to be able to answer at this time. So Sanjoy, let's see. The last question then. Here we go. How does Entomo compare with Channel Insights?
It's always a difficult question to talk about your competitor, and I certainly don't want to be here slamming the competition. But I guess all I can say to that effect is that we have by far the best and most broad and deep solution, and of anybody in this channel market. We obviously run across Channel Insight off and on, but the fact of the matter is that we believe that we have the best solution by far, and far more complete, more robust, more scalable solution than anybody else.
All right, thanks, Sanjoy. So we'll make sure to compile the questions from today, and we'll send you a follow-up email in the next few days. So I'd like to thank Bob Hara of TriQuint Semiconductor and Sanjoy Chatterjee of Entomo for sharing their expertise today. Also, thanks to all of you, our attendees, for sitting in on the webinar. Stay tuned for the next installment in our Best Practices in Channel Management series, and enjoy the rest of your day. And that concludes today's webinar. Thanks.